Hello everyone. It's now winter again. The snow is coming down outside, so I'm looking for a little project to do. And what I've got here is my CBR 1000RR, and I'm actually going to add a little bit of accessory power to it. And I'm sure some of you will be cringing as soon as I say that, but essentially what I'm going to do is add power for a GPS mount. It's going to go at the top, at the front. You can see a little ball that I've already added, which is just a simple install. I'm going to mount the GPS off of that. I'm also going to run some power for heated gear and something to charge things with. And what I'm going to do is wire it in with a relay system, and I'll just show you how I'm going to do it, and bury it under the seat so you'll never see it, but essentially it'll give you accessory power that turns on and off as soon as the key goes on and off. All right, and that's it. We'll get this ball rolling. Okay, here's the area under the seat, and that battery is actually dead, and I do have a charging system set up on here, a little pigtail, so that I can charge that battery, and I'm going to replace that as part of the project later. It's just not much point putting it in right now since it's snowing outside. And what I'm going to do is run my relay power basically off the battery to a little fuse box, and I'm going to bury it down inside there and just make it so that I can get access to it. And that's the plan. And right now I've got a whole pile of stuff which is sitting here, which I'm getting ready to wire up. All right, so the first thing I'm going to do here actually is create a power lead to power my relay. And I'm actually going to fuse this thing, which people don't always do this, but what I'm going to end up doing is fusing it, running it to the fuse first, so that if something ever happens, the relay essentially will lose all its power. That way you're not frying things later on. And you know, I guess there's a lot of different ways to do this, but I tend to solder everything. So I'm going to make just a little battery connection and get it onto the battery that way. The thing with crimps is crimps can come loose, and soldering never does. I've never had a failure of a solder line. So the other thing I'm doing with this one main feed wire here is I'm making it long enough so that I can actually pull my my fuse box out of the back of the bike. So if I ever want to work on it again, or if I have to change a fuse, it's not buried in there. All you gotta do is take the back seat off. So you also need a good ground. So what I'm doing is making a ground that I have one side that's going to tie directly to the battery, and the other side is a ring so that I can actually screw other things through it, because all I'm using is a fuse box which is only going to handle on the positive side. So my ground wire is going to do the same thing, and I'm actually just combining two things. I've got my plug which is going onto my relay, and then I've got this is my main post that I'll feed other items onto. This thing's the same deal. I'm going to just crimp it a little bit and then solder it on there. Get it all solid. Okay, so I've actually made up all of my connectors, and the color coding is basically how the relay is set up. So the relay's got the black wire going to ground, red is hot, which I'm going to run through one of my fuses. The blue is then the switched power that's going to go to my accessories, and the yellow wire is going to be the one that needs a switch, so it needs the power on from the bike to tell you what it is. So the last element here is I went through and grabbed one of the power lines that comes out of it comes off the bike and then feeds the rear light, and I'm actually going to scab off the hot side of that. It's the wire that basically, as soon as you turn the key, it turns hot. And that's going to be used to trigger the relay to make the relay turn on. and then the real power then comes from the hot wire. And that's it. I'm about to bolt all this stuff together and test it out. Okay, so I'm pretty much all back together in the battery compartment. I've got everything connected back the same way it was. I got my little charger. My battery is dead, so it's charging right now. Negative, my ground's over here. That little connection that I made over here to drive the relay is done. It all works. And here's my relay box, it actually tucks right underneath, so you don't even see it. And I have the relay down inside the bottom right now, which it'll all come out. There's enough wire on it. So now I've got 3 leads to run whatever else I want. So I'm gonna have one of them goes to my GPS, which I'm gonna run that in a minute, and then I've got one to the back, and then one for a power line for my heated gear. All right, so here's what I did with this wire. What I did was I took the tank off, and then I actually just ran that GPS wire right along with another cable that was already in there, and then just ran it across this edge, taped it up, and once I put the tank back on again, you'll never see it. And it'll run all the way to the back, and then I'll just coil it up and power it off of one of these fuses. And that's that. Alright, now it's all buttoned back up again, other than I still have the battery charger on there. But fuse panel is now under here. It's actually tucked all the way in down below, and I've got the relay tucked in down there as well. I actually put it in a bag because that area can still get a little bit wet. And I have my GPS now sitting up here on the front. It's not perfect, but this bike is really not really designed to have these things. But it's clean. The wires there's one wire that wraps around and underneath, and you can't see it anywhere, of course. And that's about it. Also, I'm going to just put one other power outlet in the back as well, but since the fuse panel is in there, at this point now it's very easy to do.